One day you're sleeping on a friend's couch because you have no place to live. Never did I ever believe that one day I would be sitting behind a desk in a hybrid classroom alongside of some of the most brilliant and inspiring people on the planet. Not because I lacked ambition, but because where I started and where Harvard was just seemed so far apart. Then the opportunity came, and I realized something. Getting the opportunity was only part of the blessing. You also had to be prepared for it in order not to fumble that blessing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you prepare for a room you never thought you would be able to enter? Welcome back to The Next Move with Tamara. This week's edition of Lessons of the Boardroom begins a new series called Lessons from Harvard. And this is based upon my experience during my recent visit at Harvard University for a course that I took this summer. And the major lesson that I want to share with you guys today is the core lesson of all of the things that I learned during my week there on campus. And that is you have to prepare just as hard as you pray, right? So you got to prepare for it just as much as you pray for it. And so some of you who know my story and know my background know that I come from building my career through early education, working for a daycare center, making $47.18 a week, to eventually owning that. And this progression has just put me on a path that never did I think would land me here. And so, it's just gotten better from there. Like that $47.18 has taken me so many places that I never thought that I'd see in my life. And now I am preparing for the things that are in the next phase of my life. When this opportunity for Harvard came, I never thought that it would be me who would be chosen and selected on a full scholarship to attend the program. And that's why this experience is so meaningful. For those of you who are watching the video, I am wearing my Harvard hat. So I'm excited about it. And it goes beyond just the opportunity to be on the campus. It's just about, the core lesson is about being prepared when the opportunity comes. And that's one of the key things that we want to talk about. Getting accepted into the program. I was excited and I was nervous. I was just like so much anxiety building up to, preparing for it. And then as I was approaching the campus, I understood what this really was about. It wasn't just about the trip. It wasn't a chance to take a photo in front of the Harvard sign, even though I did do that. This was a chance to sit in a room with leaders from all around the world and then also contribute from my own experience. So while I was there, when I say all around the world, I met people from all around the world. So there were friends that I made within the United States, but I have now new friends in Australia, India, London, parts of Africa, and beyond, So those were just the people that I sat at lunch with at one time from all around the world. Tokyo. It was just so many places and so many countries where I met people that it was just truly a global experience. So it was beyond just arriving on a prestigious campus, but it wasn't the campus itself. It was the people at the table. And the most important thing that I had to keep reminding myself is that I got the same invitation as everyone else at that table, that I was equally worthy of that seat. And I was equally worthy of contributing my knowledge and my skills and my experiences to each conversation that happened both inside and outside the classroom. And so getting access to the room is one thing, but being prepared is what helped me succeed while I was there. So the way this class was set up, it's a week long, 6 days straight. And we had to study about 18 cases, right? And it was about the reading, it was about analyzing, looking over financials, all of the things that you had to do to prepare for the class. But one of the things that made me nervous and was intimidating is that I wasn't sure how I would be able to contribute to a conversation in a room like this. And so for the first day, I tried to sit silent, right? That didn't work because if you ever been to Harvard or know anything about Harvard's style, they have this practice called cold calling. So whether you volunteer or not, they will call you out and give you an opportunity to participate. And the number one thing that you have to do in these situations is you better be ready. Okay. So this is about preparation. So according to the course, you're supposed to read over these documents before you arrive on campus. Reading over the documents is one thing, but really understanding and being able to analyze them on a deeper level is what instantly kicked in after the first session. Is just the level of expectation of knowledge that they wanted us to have to be able to discuss each case in depth was a wake-up call. So many of us spent late nights after class was over. Classes were like 11 hours long. Throughout the course of the day, it was like an 11-hour day pretty much. And then at night, we were up reading and studying and preparing for the next day for the next set of cases. And so you were reading these cases, you're trying to understand these financials, you're trying to analyze the decisions that needed to be made, and you had to be ready. You had to be ready. You had to be ready. You had to be ready to contribute, right? So at first I felt a little bit overwhelmed because I was really, really trying to master every detail of every case. But after a while, I really realized that it wasn't about mastering every detail. It was about understanding what was going on to the point where you can contribute meaningfully to the conversation and bring your experience in because they weren't testing you on the case. They were testing you on how you understood the concepts, the principles, and the frameworks that was introduced as the case being the backdrop of that conversation. So at one moment I looked around and I started feeling like, am I in the right space? Did they pick the right person? And then the conversations began and I realized that I wasn't the only person feeling that way. And it immediately broke the ice because everybody was feeling a little intimidated. Everybody was feeling like maybe I'm not in the right space. And that made us all kind of disarm and open up and really become genuine of ourselves. And the way that you get ready to do that is that we were prepared. We were ready more than what we thought we were. And once we let down that nervousness, we were able to understand that being prepared is not about being the smartest person in the room. And that was what really made me understand that it's not about who's smartest. It's about who is able to participate and contribute to a conversation in a meaningful way. That made a big difference and it amplified the experience on such a deeper level. We still studied. We still studied the cases. We still read the financials. We still went over all of the frameworks that were given to us because that was the meaningful part. It was about the conversations, and the conversations did not happen just in the classroom, but the conversations that happened over lunch, over breakfast, during breaks. Like we just could not stop talking to each other. We just kept trying to understand and learn from each other about how each case was relevant to our personal and professional experiences, and then what that experience was like in the context of a global conversation. So sitting in a room one evening, I'm in a room with people from Florida, people from San Francisco. So you got the southeast, and then you are over in the West Coast. And there were people from India, there were people from London, there were people from Australia, all at one table. And we are sharing our context of how all of these frameworks fit in all of our lives, no matter where we are in the world. And that preparation was about really making sure that I was ready. So preparing was the one thing that insecurity couldn't step in because I was ready. I knew I had done the work. I knew I had experience that can contribute to the conversation. And I knew that my input was worthy. And that's what made it different for me. That's what gave me the confidence to fully dive in and to fully participate in the coursework because there were some people who sat silent and there were some people who never really let go of that anxiety, but many of us did. And this is what preparation is about. And he's like, you don't have to pretend your way through an opportunity. One of the things that I talked about in Lessons from the Boardroom memo, number 3, was this whole faking it until you make it thing. I don't believe in that. You got to be ready. When you spend some time and you're praying for something and you know that you want something to happen, you also have to put equal effort behind that thing so that if and when that opportunity shows up, you are absolutely ready for it. So, this is my little moment, my Bible moment, I guess I'll say, is that because the Bible says that faith without works is dead. So that means you have to believe and you have to work. You have to pray and you have to prepare. So no matter what it is that you're looking for in your life, it's all about preparation. And maybe your Harvard is not my Harvard. Maybe it's something else that you're aspiring for. Maybe it's a promotion. Maybe it's a seat on a particular board. Maybe you're looking for a speaking opportunity or a business contract that you want. Or maybe you want to elevate your career into an executive role, into a room where no one from your background is traditionally expected, right? And nowhere that you have seen people like you before, but you don't let where you began convince you of whether this opportunity is for you or not. So again, you go back to, at one point in my life, I'm sleeping on somebody's couch because I was homeless, to now I am sitting behind the desk in Harvard University, surrounded by people who are leading amazing organizations all around the world. Same girl, different ends of the spectrum. Who knew, right? Not me. And in the beginning, I was just trying to survive. And I almost let that doubt set in because I had to realize how far I had come since those days when I was sleeping on somebody's couch. And all of the things that I have accomplished along the way have been preparing me for this opportunity. So while I was preparing myself and applying and getting a scholarship and reading the content, life had been preparing me all along for the day that I would arrive on Harvard campus, to the day that I would sit behind that desk, and the day that I would intentionally and voluntarily raise my hand to participate in the conversation because I knew I belonged there. I knew my experience mattered. I knew my voice mattered in that room. One of the things that I promised myself before I left that campus is that I was going to leave my voice in the room. And it became one of the most incredible experiences that I had ever had. And I'm going to talk about it a lot and I'll say, prepare to be sick of me because y'all going to hear about this experience because it was just that impactful for my life. And I really feel like this experience has kind of opened up so many different perspectives for me, personally and professionally. And I want to be able to share that. But the key thing that I really want to share with you guys today is really about, it's not about where you start. It's about what you're exposed to. And where you start is no excuse from where you want to go. It doesn't matter that I was homeless. It doesn't matter that I was born to teenage parents. It doesn't matter that, we were poor and in poverty growing up. It doesn't matter that I had to walk to school in, 2 feet of snow because we lived so far away and didn't have a vehicle. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters where you want to go and what you're going to do to get yourself there. So, gonna take a moment, take a breath, and then I'm going to present the boardroom question for this week. What opportunity are you praying for? And if it arrived today, would you be ready? That's our boardroom question of the week. What opportunity are you praying for? And if it arrived today, Would you be ready? And if you're not ready today, then that means it's time to get to work. You got to start preparing. So that means you have to take one action today, one action today. Before you close your eyes today, you can either study something that's related to the field of the opportunity that you want to come your way. You can work on strengthening your skills that you know that you are going to need when you enter that room. You can find a mentor who can give you keys, tips, pointers, guidance on what it takes to get to the next level. You can practice a presentation of how you can get support for what you need, whether that's to a mentor, for a scholarship, applying for a job or expanding yourself academically. Spend some time learning the financials behind it, because the financials are a key point of successful businesses. And the more knowledgeable you are on your own, the less support you'll need from the outside. Work on updating your resume, making sure that all of your key experiences are accurately reflected on your resume right now, and that your resume points to the direction that you want to go, not just to the past that you've already lived. And that's an important thing. Let's see. You can work on your portfolio for all of our creative people. Bring together your body of work, the things that you have done, whether that's music, whether that's writing, whether that's artwork, whatever it is that you do creatively, pull that together. If it's fashion design, whatever that is, get it together, build your portfolio, start working on it. Because if someone knocked on that door today, or if you walked into a coffee shop and someone introduced you to the person who was holding the keys to everything that you ever wanted, you got to be ready. So for me, Harvard was the opportunity of a lifetime. But the lessons that I brought home was for all of us. And the first thing is that I don't want you to let where you start keep you from preparing for all of your dreams to come true. And that when your opportunity finally arrives, because it will, because I believe in you, I know that it will, don't shrink. Don't pretend. Don't fumble the opportunity. I want you to walk in ready. I want you to walk in prepared. I want you to walk in equipped. I want you to walk in confident that you have done the work that is required for you to own that seat at the table. So we are going to prepare for it just as much as we prayed for it. So with that, I'm going to ask you to keep asking better questions. Keep leading with purpose. And above all, keep making your next move count. This is Tamara Barlow, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.